Hello, my muses, and welcome to today's episode. I am so excited for today's episode because we're going to talk about all the challenges that so many of us felt this year in 2025, how to really set the intention for 2026. But before we set the intention, we're going to dive into what did 2025 actually teach us? What were the reasons for these challenges? Because we don't actually go back and try to gain some wisdom from everything that's happened this year so far, then we're just going to have the same lessons kind of come next year. And we're not going to see it from the perspective that we should be seeing it. So let's dive into it because I do believe that so many of us felt this intense energy this year and a lot of us felt challenges. So I want to talk about what challenges or hard times actually are and why we feel like they're hard on us. And it's usually they're traumas of ours, there's triggers of ours, there's pain that we endure. And usually when we collectively think of a whole year being rough or hard, it's usually because a lot of things happened back to back to back. And our nervous system didn't have a moment to reset, to acknowledge what was happening, to feel into what was happening, or to even process what was happening. And so when a lot of things back to back start to happen in our lives, we collectively say that was just a bad month or a bad day or a bad week or a bad year or a challenging year. I personally do not like using words like bad day or bad this or bad that. There's really no bad month, day, week, year. It's bad or challenging moments that we have, and we let those moments, whether they're big or small moments, we let them take up so much headspace and mental clarity of ours that they feel heavy and they feel like a lot. And so when we think of what challenges are, why this year might have felt so hard, it's usually because of that. And also, if you're in a journey like myself, like a spiritual awakening, I've gotten closer to God more than I ever have. I feel like I've been tested so much and challenged so much. I think God has really been like, okay, we're going to do this together. I really need you to commit, and I'm going to challenge you in so many different areas because I need you to become the woman that I gave you life to become. I know that I'm here on this earth because God has a purpose for me and God has a big plan for me. And so the moment I said to God, like, God, I'm ready. I want to be close to you. I'm here. I want all these things. This year just felt like a big kick off the cliff. Like it just felt like I got drop kick off the cliff multiple times where I was like free falling and I feel out of control in so many different areas. And so let's dive into what those look like in so many different areas. And for me personally, it felt that way because again, so many things happened back to back where my nervous system rarely had space to kind of process or to just feel my emotions on everything that was happening. And I'm such an emotional person and all I do is talk about emotional intelligence and all these different things. And so many times this year, I felt like I didn't have any emotional intelligence. Like I got just rocked so hard where I didn't even feel like myself. I didn't feel my center. It's very important for us as women to understand what our center feels like. And our center feels like when we're the most aligned, when we actually can listen to our intuition, when we feel our best, that is our center. And we have to pay attention to when and how we feel like we're in our center and purposely find moments throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month, throughout the year, where you go back to your center. Because I've learned that the more you want out of life, the more life is going to give you, the more God's going to give you, the more challenges you're going to have. Because again, it's stretching you, it's pushing you, it's molding you into becoming the person that you say you want to be. And unfortunately, we can't get there unless we have these challenges. You can't become the woman that God created you to be if you don't have the challenges that pushes you and grows you to be that person and be that woman. So let's do a little reflecting on this year. Think of any time, it's usually people in our lives that do something to us, cause us pain, trigger us. There's some sort of response that comes from us that we don't enjoy because a lot of the times we don't want to give away our power. And so when things are happening outside of our control or people are doing things to us, we feel really out of control and out of our power. And a lot of that takes up so much mental clarity. It shakes us off our center, like I was talking about. It rocks us in so many ways. So let's think about any time this year where someone did this to you. Maybe it was a situation, maybe it was a person itself, maybe it was a group of people, maybe it was your job, maybe it was your spouse, maybe it was your spouse's family, maybe it was some random person on the street, maybe it was somebody online. Whoever you felt very triggered by this year. This is a fun reflection, isn't it? Let's think about them for a second. I want you to thank them because without that trigger, without that person just coming and rocking you or people or multiple people, whether it's one person or a bunch of people, I want you to thank them. And right now, right here, we're going to choose to see and lean into the trigger and why that bothered us. It's usually because they caused something in our child self that we don't like. You see, emotional intelligence is important because when we feel something, the ability to have still logic and to have a clear mind while you're feeling angry, frustrated, all these different things, that is what emotional mastery is. That's what emotional intelligence is. When our emotions are high, our intelligence goes offline. We can't think clearly. We're not smart anymore. We're acting based on emotion. And so a lot of the times people come and trigger us And we act based off our emotions, even if we thought, I thought I healed that, or why would this person bother me? Why would this or that challenge me? Why would this annoy me? I thought I was better than this. We start going into those loopholes. But between going into that loophole of I could have done better, I should have done better, I'm so annoyed that this person's even here, and what actually happened, there's this beautiful space in between where there's a huge lesson. And the lesson is always, I promise you, in any situation, you can apply this to anything. You feel the trauma, you feel the trigger, you feel the person that caused you all these emotions, and then you're annoyed. You're over here, like, just in the mental clutter, just letting it take up a bunch of mental space. But in that in between, what happens and what will happen in every situation is that there's a child part of you that is coming out. If you feel triggered and emotions became so high that your brain went offline, it's because there's a child part of you that's saying, hi, I'm here. I need you to see me. I need you to recognize me. I need you to stop avoiding me. So if that person made you feel out of control, made you feel powerless, maybe hurt your feelings, maybe they said something that really hurt you, maybe they did something that really made you mad, maybe they attacked somebody you love, maybe they did whatever it is that that person did, there's a child part of you that felt that way as a child so much. And now as an adult, you're like, why is this happening? And so then you go into these mental loops because we don't know how to process it. Instead, we want to just kind of avoid it, get away from it, be anxious about it. But the beautiful lesson is right here. It's in that middle ground. It's in, what is this person here to teach me? We don't usually want to see it this way because we're like, no, this person's here to go to hell, is what this person, like, freak this person. I don't want them in my life. The anger comes out, the child wound comes out. And they say, so Gabor Mate, he's a trauma-informed teacher, coach, mentor, whatever you want to call him. I think he might be a psychiatrist or a psychologist. He says that when we react to emotionally to somebody is usually from the age of when we had the most trauma in our lives. For me, I want to say it was probably more in my teenage years where I felt the most trauma. And so I go into like mean girl. I go into don't come after me. I will attack you. I'm going to protect my energy. I'm going to be mean. I'm going to like just be a mean girl. And that's not who I want to be. That's not who I am. And that's not who I want to be. I could see now these parts of me that I couldn't even recognize before this year, because even though I knew that this had happened and I had these traumas or these triggers, if this person or these events wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't have the ability to see that now. And so I want you to ask yourself, what child part of you felt so triggered by that person and why? Give yourself some love. Because here's the thing. So many things happen throughout the day and a lot of them just go by the wayside. We don't even notice them. We don't even care about them. And the reason we don't care about them is because they're not triggering us. There's not a part of us that feels hurt by that because it has nothing to do with us. It has nothing to do with our past, with what we care about, with what's important to us. When somebody triggers us, it is a huge alert to our conscious self to say, wait, there's a part of me here that needs to be seen, and it's yelling to be seen, not by that person. That person is just a vehicle. Like, think of it like this, like God just put that person in your life, or people or whoever, whether it's an ex-boyfriend caused you pain, whoever it is. Like, think of whoever caused you a lot of pain this year. God put them in your life this year as a vehicle to show you more of who you truly are. And the parts of you that maybe are stopping you, they're enabling you, they're keeping you stuck in patterns and loops. You know, I joke because I had such a peaceful life and so much emotional mastery when I lived by myself, when I was single, and even when I met TJ, we did long distance for a year. And moving in and doing all these things, I've had so many things that are out of my control. Like, it's not only just me, it's me and TJ, and Avery. We have Avery 50% of the time, which is TJ's daughter, my husband's daughter, my stepdaughter. And then we have a cat now. I have a business. He has 2 businesses. Like, and at any given day, there's so many things that are going to be out of my control and they're going to rock me and take me off my center. And what I've noticed is that it's my responsibility to get there quicker, to come back to my center quicker. Everything that's happened this year, whether it's in my business, in my love life, with friends, with people that I don't even care to be in my life, whoever, clients, whoever, anything that happened this year has taught me, if there's like one universal thing it taught me this year, was how to get back to my center more quickly. Because for a while, I had very much space to just process my own stuff. It was just me. It was my own things. I stayed away from drama, from people that I didn't like, from things. I'm very introverted. I was home all the time. Like, I only hung out with my nieces and the people that I actually liked. But now there's so much more in my life because I wanted more, because I asked God for more. But God was like, okay, let me put all these different situations in your life this year so that you can expand and you can grow. Because the truth is that there's a version of me that I have not become yet, not because I need to become. It's more becoming the woman that God created me to be, and it's more of a shielding of all the things that I'm not supposed to be, right? And so he keeps taking off all these shields and layers of myself, and I keep shedding them. And that's uncomfortable. That doesn't feel good, because for so long, if you've been in personal development or working on yourself for so long, all you do is try to be your best, do your best, acknowledge all the things. Like, they say your level of growth is directly correlated to how much truth you can carry about yourself, how much truth can you actually take about yourself. But there's also a double-edged sword with that, because the double-edged sword of how much truth can you accept about yourself also comes with a lot of shame and a lot of perfectionism of like, okay, let me do more, let me do better. What else do I need to fix? And I'm here to tell you, you don't have to fix anything. I don't have to fix anything. You're perfect and worthy the way you are. You were born worthy. It's throughout all of our years that we've created all these different things because of the people in our lives, because of whatever that has enabled us to get further from the woman that God created us to be. And it has made us into fill in your blank. For me, it made me anxious and made me depressed. For so long, I didn't feel good about myself. I've been on this journey now for 7, 8 years almost, and I have seen so many different iterations of myself, and they've all been beautiful. Even the parts of me that were so anxious, depressed, and didn't feel good about life and didn't like her life. Like from that woman to even now, I see this progression, and it hasn't been perfect. It hasn't been like, oh, I was down here and then I just climbed and now I'm all the way up here. It's been like more like this. So when we think of this year, it probably felt like this. There were some highs and there were some lows, and there were some highs and there were some lows, but there was also some in between moments where everything just felt calm. And a lot of us don't know what to do with calm. A lot of us don't know what to do with just peace. We're used to the up and the down, the up and the down. But next year, you might not want to hear this, but next year, you're going to probably have a lot of the same challenges you had this year if you don't learn how to gain the wisdom and apply them to next year. They're going to feel just as hard next year unless you're able to do that, because I guarantee you, all the challenges and feelings that you had this year, whether it was heartbreak, pain, career challenges, money problems, whatever they are, at some point you're probably going to have them next year to some capacity. But it's your ability to now see it from a different perspective, right? So now you gain all this wisdom. Now you see it from a different perspective. Maybe last year or 2025, beginning of 2025, you were here. Your perspective was here. Now you've gained knowledge. Now you get to see it from a different angle, a different perspective. The following year, you see it from a different perspective and a different perspective and a different perspective. I have had the same feelings and emotions that I did this year. There's some years that are heavier. I've had a divorce. I've had things that have happened. My cat passed away. That felt really hard. That was last year, 2024. There's certain things that are going to rock you and they're going to feel like really heavy from that year. But I still felt pain this year, even though my cat didn't pass away this year. I still felt pain in my body, in my soul, in my emotions. I still felt that. But hadn't I have not felt pain before, or breakups before, or divorce before, I wouldn't know how to handle the pain. And here's the thing. We all are equipped to handle everything God throws at us. That saying that God will never give us more than we can handle is absolutely true. He actually is giving us things so that we can learn from our past, so that we can become better, get better, and continuously grow and have a different perspective on life. And so, as you thought earlier, when you were reflecting of like what thing felt really heavy, whether it's one thing or two things, go back again to what part of you needed to be seen, what part of you needed X, Y, and Z. Because next year, I promise you, it might not be the same people that are causing you drama, stress. It might not be the same things, but you will have them in another way. It'll just be a different vehicle. God will use other vehicles, other people, other scenarios to see if you learn your lesson, if you can be that woman that He created you to be. Can you show up and do the things when they're hard? That's the problem, right? Like, I'm going to give you an analogy about working out, because a lot of us can at least relate to working out and starting to work out, whether it's comfortable, not comfortable, whether you're a beginner working out or it's super advanced. Here's the truth. You only get better. Your body only gets better the more uncomfortable and the more pain it gets, right? The more sore you are, the more you push your limits, you rep till failure, you do all these things, the more your body goes through it and breaks down the muscle to then rebuild it. That's when your body starts getting really strong. That's when your body actually becomes the body you want. It starts shaping different and looks different. Same thing with your soul, your spirit, and your mind and your emotions. Sometimes things need to break, feel like they're breaking, like they're snapping, like it's super uncomfortable, like there's a lot of pain, like this hurts, I don't like this. It's what you do in that moment that really truly matters. And maybe you might not do it perfectly, right? Maybe you feel and you see what's happening and you don't do it perfectly and you react from that hurt child self, and then you do better the next time. You're not gonna sit in shame, you're not gonna sit in the loop, you're not gonna sit in the pattern. You just do better the next time. And so it's your ability to grow when it hurts, when there's pain, when you're uncomfortable, when you didn't sleep. Like, it's easy when it's easy. It's easy when I've had all the sleep in the world, when everything's going perfect, when my marriage is just like blissful and perfect. And Avery and I and TJ are all just like so happy. Avery's just like glowing and she's a happy kid and my business is thriving and I'm writing so much money that month. And I'm like, ooh, my hair looks good. I just feel good. I feel skinny. It's my 1 week of the month where I'm like, ooh, I feel so snatched. I feel so skinny. I slept great. Like, like, my skin is glowing, I'm drinking all my water, I'm eating healthy. That's the easy time to just like do stuff, right? Usually when I'm in that zone though, I do build momentum and I do so much, right? I compound that. And we're going to talk about all the things that actually felt good this year so we can compound that too next year. But when things get rough, when I didn't sleep, when TJ and I are maybe arguing, when Avery's having some sleep issues, when my business is like kind of quiet, I'm kind of worried, am I going to get any client? Is that client going to close this? When I wake up and I'm like, why is my face so dry? Why do I have bags under my eyes? When my hair, no matter what I do, just looks like crap. When I haven't really ate healthy, I drink a little too much wine. When all those things are happening, it's in my ability to say, my goal in my mind, my vision is still to become the woman of God. That doesn't stop because other things aren't working out perfectly. It's in my ability to see it, feel it, but also push through it because that's not where we're supposed to stay. It's in our ability to do that we will continue to grow just like a muscle does, just like our bodies change, just like all of those things happen. It's in our ability to be able to continuously do that. Sorry if you hear my cat in the background. She's upstairs and she's crying to come down. And so now before I end this episode, I do want to talk about what felt really good this year. A lot of the times we look back at a year and unless you had a big moment of like whether you gave birth or you got married or some big life event, usually we look back at a year and what really just kind of glows for us is usually the negative. Unfortunately, it's the things that we didn't like. It's the challenges that we didn't want to have. It's the pain that we felt that we didn't want to feel. But let's look back and think of the joy that you actually had this year. Where did you feel the most alive? Where did you feel the most aligned and centered? When did you feel your best self? When did you feel the most present? When did you feel the most amount of joy where you're like, oh my gosh, I feel so happy right now? Where were you? What were you wearing? Who were you with? What got you there? What had to happen for you to feel that? Did you have a great night's sleep? Were you just really present? Did you talk to God that morning? Were you just wearing a really great outfit that made you feel good? Were you and your spouse just like really vibing and just feeling like in a great zone? What was it? I guarantee you most of the times that we feel the most amount of joy and happiness is because we were able to be present. We weren't here. We weren't stuck in loops. We weren't replaying all the things that we don't like or we don't want. We were actually present and we allowed ourselves to receive. As women, it's so hard for us to receive. It's so hard for us to receive love, compliments, attention, respect, all admiration, the things that really feel really nice, right? When we get from people, it's really hard for us to receive that. And it's no different when we're in a moment where it's requesting and requiring us to just be present and enjoy the happiness and lean into it and create more of it. And so I want you to also reflect back on those moments. When did those happen? How did they happen? And how can you intentionally create those again and reenact them next year in different ways? And I want you to really try to think of the moments that were smaller, not the big ones where you were traveling and doing all these fun things. And if you were traveling, what moment while you were traveling was it when you looked up at the stars? When you saw the most majestic sunset? Was it when you woke up and you just felt like so good to be alive? Like those moments, right? I don't want you to think of things outside of you that you had to buy, that you had to do, that were like fabricated, more like yourself, how you felt on the inside. What did you witness? I want you to lean into those more too. Because when we create next year with intention, when we look back at our year and say, what wisdom can I get from this year? And what intentions do I want to send into next year? It changes the energy. If not, you will create the same exact year again and again and again. I know all of us can probably agree that we know one or two or three people in our lives that have lived the same life in the same year over and over again. They haven't grown, they haven't changed, they haven't evolved. The same drama, the same people, the same victimhoodness, the same pain. You can see them reliving it over and over and over and over again. The same thing will happen to us if we don't consciously create the year we want next year. And next year, I'm definitely going to be talking more about creating a business with emotional mastery and our relationships and our relationship with ourselves. But I'm definitely going to incorporate creating a business from a very centered place and having emotional intelligence while you're creating a business and hiring employees and doing all these things because it's something that I learned this year and it's so important for us to also cultivate. And so if you're a business owner, if you're an ambitious woman, if you're a self-led woman, you're going to enjoy these little business videos I'm going to make. And I'm going to try to have like a series of business videos and a series of other like relationship topics and just so they're all like different and categorized. And I appreciate every single one of you. This will be my last episode of the year. If you've tuned in, whether it's on my podcast or my YouTube channel, thank you for listening and tuning in. And please subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. And if you're on my podcast, also follow and leave me a comment. Leave me a review, do something that you feel. I appreciate anything you could do that will help me become more visible to more women like you because my goal is to help every woman feel really good, very stable, centered, emotionally intelligent, have self-mastery over herself because at the end of the day, that's the only thing we have control over. And that's the only thing that will bring true joys, progression over time. So thank you again, beauties. I hope you have a beautiful holiday.